Good afternoon and welcome to the Total Woman Podcast, where we're going to talk about what's happening with today's women. I'm so excited about today's show because we have such a special guest, and our guest today is the attorney Regina Nunnally, none other. Regina is a very good friend of mine that I met a while back during an event. I've learned so much from her. She's one of the most total women that I know, and she's going to speak directly from her heart in a legal aspect. Regina.
Great afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Had to start off kind of rainy today, but hey, rainy days, whatever.
Well, I'm glad that you're here today. So we're going to start off with some simple questions about who you are, why you do what you do, and what you have coming up in the future. Okay. And then I'm just going to let you ad lib and tell us what your thoughts are in the field of legalities when it comes to our women.
Okay. All right.
And first off, Regina, tell me something about yourself.
Something about myself. Well, I must do it like this. My name is Regina. I'm better known as the Preacher Kid Sensation. PK Sensation for short if you follow me on Instagram. The Mental Wealth Builder. I believe in bringing value to the marketplace of your mind. Why? Because I'm allergic to ignorance. And that's something that and my antihistamine for that is education, being self-aware. I am CEO and founder of See the World Through My Eyes, LLC. Why endeavor to help everyone to see a life through a renewed perspective, because a renewed mind creates a renewed lifestyle. And in my profession, I've seen so much. And I think, well, all these skills and talents that I have, I was created for good works. I can do something with it.
Amen. That's a blessing. Now, one of the things that I would like to ask you about, you have so many hats. So out of the hats that you have, first of all, tell us what your hats are. Tell us everything that you're pretty much involved in.
Well, I have a fedora, and you meant the other hat. Okay, not the Kango. I used to have that one back in the day. I'm dating myself. Well, I am a lawyer. I am an entrepreneur. I am also an associate pastor. I am also an author. Y'all see this theme going on, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm also a gay tour. And I'm single and I just enjoy having fun. And I have a comedic side to me, so I guess I have that hat as well. But I'm a visionary. I believe in solving problems, helping people out, making things work. Because, like I said, I've seen so much, and I just can't stand seeing people go through something if they knew better.
Great. Now, my question is, with all of the hats that you wear, what has been the toughest goal that you had to overcome to make sure that things work out the way that you want them to work out?
Well, my toughest goal generally is me. I have to learn me. And back in July of 2013, I went through a personal, almost a heartbreak. And I really was placed in a dark place where I was launched out into the deep, per se. Mm-hmm. And uncomfortable, completely uncomfortable. And who wants to be there? And in that time, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people, and in that process, my toughest time was really dealing with the fact that I come from a family of perfectionism, and the idea of showing a chink in your armor, being open, being vulnerable, to me was hard to do. And going through the process, including therapy, because unfortunately in our environment, people don't believe in therapy. But, I broke away from my home church where I grew up in. I was totally kind of like flying solo. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I really, truly believe if none of that happened, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair talking to you. It worked for my good, but it didn't feel good. And so I think the main challenge was really, truly loving myself and also finding my voice and believing I had something meaningful to say, because I felt at times what I had to say was not relevant. And that's hard growing up in a house where speaking is something that we do, but a certain regimen. And I didn't have that self-confidence, Debora. I did not. But it wasn't until the heartbreak, that's when everything just kind of fell apart for me to get built right back up. And so that has been one of my, I'll say my challenges, because once I get my act together, everything else that I touch, it starts to improve when I improve, because I'm the common denominator. And as long as I'm all over the place, a double-minded man unstable in all his ways, and I went through that. And I had to give myself grace to heal. I wanted things to speed up. I wanted to say, I'm strong. Why am I going through this? I'm a lawyer. I'm educated. I shouldn't be going through all this. Why am I feeling this way? Because I'm human. And I had to embrace that human side. And it's hard to do when you've been told to be this way and that. So yeah, I would say that one of my biggest challenges.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is ask you this.
What?
I want to circle back around to questions, but what I would like for you to do right now is talk to us about being an attorney and what we need to know as women, business women and the everyday woman, to make sure that we're getting where we need to be as far as becoming a total woman and our life is in order.
All right. Well,
take your time.
I am a first generation everything in my house. I am a first generation, I won't say 4-year college graduate. My brother went as far as tech school, had his AS degree. I'm the one that went the furthest, college, law school. And I didn't know any lawyers. I didn't know anybody, especially lawyers that looked like me at all. All right. I just know what I saw on TV and I also know what I wanted. And so my desire to be a lawyer came from when my father was in a bad accident on the job. He was building the Ocean Center. He almost got killed. And he hired an attorney. And I, like I said, all I know is what I saw on TV, Matlock and all them other people. And I kind of felt like the lawyer could have done better, because when my father became really incapacitated, couldn't work anymore, we went from a 2-income home to a 1-income home. And I saw how that created so much, friction and stress and anxiety. We thought we were going to lose the house. So that type of incident made me think maybe I should be a lawyer so I can help people. So I thought about public interest law. And so when I went to law school, I actually interned with Legal Aid in Seminole and in Seminole County. And I thought doing that because I said, I want to give back. I want to do something that's going to help the people. And then when I came out of law school, at that point, I was throwing applications around. I said, I don't care if Freddy Krueger, whether he hired me or not, I needed a job. And I did not plan on coming back to Daytona Beach because I'm from Daytona Beach. I'm going to be honest, 110. I didn't feel there was anything here for me. And I wasn't coming back. A door opened and I came back and I became a criminal defense attorney. And I say it chose me. I didn't choose it. And I've been doing that for 20 years now. What I have seen is when people are not aware of what their rights are, or they're aware, but they have a misunderstanding of it, they're at their most vulnerable state. And as women, I'm going to say I see more men in the system than I do women. But a lot of the things, I find myself, a lot of the people I find myself coming in contact with, these women are broken. They're where they are, not just because of their decision making, but, they're there because of the flawed way they see themselves. They don't think they can do any better.
Right.
They just settle for what they can get, and whatever they get can settle for them. And it makes them easy targets. Now, I'm not saying there's some predators out there, because I met some young ladies, some women, I'd be like, my goodness. But what I try to do, endeavor to do, is when I can have a heart to heart with them and talk to them and be woman to woman, but I have to get past all of the anger and the bitterness and they don't trust anybody and I got to get out. He needs me and all this stuff. And I'm like, my God. But I have to remember, I was once in a position of hurt and pain, and I wasn't thinking straight because of when your heart's broken and shattered, everything is being filtered through this broken prism. So everything is all over the place. And you don't realize it because that's your normal. This is their normal. And so I try my best to be a lawyer, and I try my best to talk with them and try to encourage them. But the total woman, when I think about that, the total woman always comes back to this. If this right here, your mind, is not renewed, you will not transform, and you will not change, and you will not progress. You will go around in circle in a vicious cycle until this is renewed. And generally, something has to happen, for you to stop and kind of look at your circumstances. And I just feel like it's just my goal is to be a representation, especially for younger girls. I used to be a youth pastor. And I had to be careful what I say or do because I know they're watching me. And I'm like, I didn't have that role model in my life. I don't know if I would have done more if I did. All I know is that I knew what I wanted to do. I had friends around me who wanted to do greater. But when I became older and I had these young people in me, I said, no, we got to do more than this. So I went a step further so they could read the word, understand the word, and and be Miss Regina, not Mrs. Nunnally, not Minister Nunnally. I'm Miss Regina, and I'm transparent. And I just 110 with the young people, let them know, look, I'm not standing here saying I was perfect. I'm just going to be an example of someone who made bad decisions, but I didn't let those decisions make decisions for me.
Right, exactly.
So I guess I can go on and on, but it's important as women that we really sit down and evaluate who we are, know what our purpose is in life. Because if you don't know what your purpose is, you're going to be everything to everybody and you have no idea who you are when it comes to your identity. And I see that in the system. They're everything to everybody to get what they can get because they're in survival mode, but they don't really know who they are.
Exactly.
They don't see their worth. They don't see their value. They don't see it. And when you try to talk to them, they think you're lying. They think that you're playing games with them. And you know what? I can relate to that. Because growing up, I was teased. I had low self-esteem. So if someone gave me a compliment, I didn't believe them. I thought they were joking with me. And so I see that in them. And that's why I have to show, a degree of patience and understanding with them because they're not there yet. All right. Especially since they're sitting behind bars and they have all this stuff going on. So I have to, dealing with women in the system, you just have to be patient with them. And then as women in business, one of the things we have to always remind ourselves is if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, again, purpose, your purpose. If you don't know why you're doing, you're going to quit. You're going to throw in the towel once people tell you no, or they don't do what if they don't break their promises. You have to remind yourself, why am I doing this? What is my why? What hurt me? Who hurt me? Why am I doing this? What's the intent and the purpose behind it? And who am I trying to reach? And if you're trying to reach people, even if you reach one person, you're still doing a good thing.
Very good.
Yeah, it is.
Now, let me ask you this question. As an attorney, how do you balance your day-to-day versus being in that courtroom most of the day? Or do you have times when you have to not even get a chance to go home because you got to wait? How do you balance the life and the job?
Well, I would say I'm blessed to be in an office where they do encourage you to take time. They gave us the time to take time off. Will be a mental health day, or especially after a trial, because, I'm a trial attorney. I pick juries, and I've gone toe to toe with the best of them, been in front of all kind of judges over the 20 years. And it's really important to prioritize, because in my caseload, I may have between 120, 150 cases to handle. Okay. And they're all in different seasons, or they're in different positions. That not all the cases are ready for trial. Some are just coming in. Some are just, we're trying to negotiate some of the cases. Some of the cases might be on hold for some reason. So all the cases are in different statuses. But you have to prioritize. And that's where it is in life. You have to prioritize what's important for me to do, what's significant right now, something, and you have to put it in that type of order in order for you not to go crazy, because you know how to say being a jack of all trades, but an expert of none. And so you're trying to do all this multitask. Multitask is the devil. I don't know where people get that from. Okay. You need to prioritize and figure out what's important to do. And when you get that done, then go to the next one, and don't feel rushed to have to hurry up and get things done. And that's how it is with me. And I had to learn that. That was a learning curve, because when I came in as a young lawyer, I was like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I want to do everything. Now I'm like, I'm selective. I'm older now. It's a whole different, menopause is a whole different beast, y'all. Okay, let me tell you, it's a whole different beast. And so I have to pace myself, because the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. Okay. And that's another point. That's another revelation. What you did when you were young, it's going to be very different when you get older. Okay. And so you might could do a lot of things as you were younger. And as you get older, you have to actually come to the conclusion, wow, I really can't do this like I used to. So you have to do some adjustments. Prioritize, adjustment, that big word everybody was rolling around with when the pandemic hit. Pivot. Mm-hmm. You have to know how to pivot. And you have to be willing to say no. You got to say no sometimes. You got to tell people, no, not today. No, not right now. Why? Because I found out the hard way that no one's going to look out for my best interests like me. And I have to set boundaries. I have to be consistent with my boundaries and not let people cross those boundaries. And I had to learn that you also have to teach people how to treat you. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to figure it out, because they're going to treat you like everybody else, but you're not like everybody else. You have to teach people how to treat you. And so to balance all that, and it sounds kind of, confusing, convoluted, but understand, Debora and everyone, this is a process. This is something I learned over a period of years. This is something I learned out of heartbreak. This is something I've learned out of having to wait on my dreams to come true. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it's something you have to stay consistent, and you have to be, dedicated to. And so that's what I've had to do, prioritize. So I incorporate, if I need to go take a break, I'll take a break. I came off vacation last week from Punta Cana. Unfortunately, I got sick afterwards. But Punta Cana had nothing to do with that, okay? And my office makes it easy for me as well. So as another thing is, it's really good that you have people you can work with that can make your experience a lot much better. Because if you're working with some toxic people, oh my God, that'll run you crazy. Yes. You be around here changing colors like a lizard. But if you're in an office where people really work with you, they understand you, and everybody kind of can stand in their lane and pull their load, then that makes it even more easier. So your team, whoever you call your team, they can make it and break you. They can make it easy for you. So you have to learn how to delegate. Delegate certain things. Don't try to do everything. Prioritize. Set some boundaries. Be consistent with it. Teach people how to treat you. These are all things that you can do and learn, and you can work on, so you can be able to balance this thing called life.
So when talking about as far as everything that you've explained right now, being a lawyer, you are a counselor.
I'm everything.
Yeah, you're a counselor. So when people come to you, it's just kind of like, okay, you're going to educate them. You're going to tell them what they need to do, and then you're going to get them where they need to be. Mm-hmm. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. How does the indifferent part step in when they don't want to, I guess, listen maybe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where do we, as an attorney, where do you go from there?
If you understand pretty much why they operate the way they do, you won't take it personal, because you have to have a thick skin. You have to have a thick skin. You know, I've been called public pretender. You're not a real lawyer. I'm gonna get me a real lawyer. I'll get a paid lawyer, and they, so much disrespect. Okay. And I mean, we're the hardest working lawyers up in that courtroom. And I understand, there's a stigma when it comes to public defenders. I get it. And I understand that. When you deal with the indifference, because I've dealt with that client for a while, you've established a relationship with them. So you kind of know where it's coming from. And unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, but this is the way it is in our world. They decide. As long as they're informed, like you say, they know what their options are, they decide. And there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, thank you. One last question. Regina has a book out on the market, and it's a very, very good book. Tell us about your book before we close.
My book is called Boundless Success. I didn't make up this title. This is actually an anthology. And an anthology is a book, where all people write. People write on a certain subject. So I'm in here with a bunch of other great writers. But my chapter is called Finish What You Start. And it's an homage to my father, because my father taught me a valuable lesson of not quitting. I have a black belt in Taekwondo, but I never would have achieved it if my father didn't intercede. And in the book, I talk about how I wanted to quit and how my father taught me a valuable lesson of what quitting does. And then from that, I gleaned some points I make as to what I've learned, like to overcome challenges and obstacles based on what my father taught me. And so I'm proud of this, because I was like, this is my way of showing that fathers are significant. And I'm glad my daddy did not let me quit, because if I was going to quit on that, I would have quit on everything. Of course, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Well, as us PK kids,
PK,
because we're both PKs. And I can relate to pretty much everything that you said, because without that background, without that father figure, that stronghold, a lot of us, because you could never have told me in a million years that I'll be sitting right here.
Right.
And it took a lot. And you know me, you know the things that I've experienced. And I just I'm so proud of you from the time that I met you to where I've seen you go. When I say serial entrepreneur, I mean, this lady here, she's a pastor. She's an attorney. She don't talk about being a travel agent.
Oh, I forgot about that.
She travels everywhere.
Yeah.
Basically, she's involved in so much stuff, but she's a total woman. She's definitely a total woman. So I'm going to say thank you.
Thank you
for being a part of the Total Woman podcast. And eventually we may circle back around and bring you back to talk about some of the other things that you're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, we can wrap it up, and hopefully I can bring you back again. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening. And hopefully we'll see you on our next podcast. Have a blessed day. Please join us again on our next podcast. To find more information about what we're doing, what we have coming up, please check your YouTube and all social media to listen for our podcast.